Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
You can't use that word. Only we can use that word.
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT.
I don't care. It's close enough. I'm not here to be accurate, god damn it. I'm here to just say it.
AJ.
They literally sneak out by hiding a girl under a giant trench coat like a Three Stooges gag. What the f***, Disney Plus? Come on now. On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, with the slowdown of Star Wars projects in recent years and only a couple on the horizon, we ask the question, what is the future of Star Wars?
This is the Nerf Herder Council. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook page and YouTube channel of the Virtual Cantina Network. We are also on the Nerf Herder Council Twitch page. If you are subscribed to Twitch, you can check us out there. As always, guys, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. If you have not done so already and you're watching on either of the two YouTube channels, please don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. If you would like to get some awesome Virtual Cantina Network swag, go to tpublic.com/user/virtual-cantina. And for a myriad of excellent customizable Nerf Herder Council items, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. And guys, before we go any further, the views of the Nerf Herder Council do not necessarily reflect those of the Virtual Cantina Network, and there might be some bad language on this show, and I can guarantee you there's going to be some bad language right off the rip. So without further ado, I bring on my best friend and my brother. He is, of course, the legendary AJ. What's up, man? Your mic's not on. Uh-oh. Look at that. There we go. You were working a minute ago. This is why you're going to have a dedicated podcast studio when you move into your house. AJ's having there we go. He says, hold, please. All right, well, then I'll say what I had to say. We'll see what AJ's got going on here. But yeah, so kind of an interesting night here, I would say. I'm going to get political for a very quick second, or rather non-political. So, are you there? I heard a shh. So, yeah, nothing. You are now completely gone. So, yeah, so tomorrow, I'll put myself in solo, AJ, and then if you, you can talk when you talk. You cut me off at any time. So, yeah, so tomorrow obviously is an unfortunate anniversary in our country, and of course I'm talking about 9/11. I'm a history buff, and I've watched about every program there is to watch on that, and it's just always such a sad event. So many people needlessly lost their lives and things like that. And I think one of the if the only plus I think that comes out of it is that at least one day of the year everyone just kind of comes together, and it's like we're all Americans, like we're all just one. There's no left, there's no right, and all this kind of stuff. And obviously there was a horrible shooting tonight.
Well, hey, dumbass.
There you go. All right, so you're there. So horrible shooting out in Utah, and social media is doing what it does, and everybody's just going crazy on either the left or the right and everything. And it's like, there's so much division on the eve of a day when there's nothing but unity. And I would encourage everyone to start getting into that unity a few hours early, before tomorrow, because it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, left, right, whatever the hell. I'm neither. I'm right down the middle. I don't give a shit about politics, and this is why. The issue here is that some young man needlessly lost his life, and he has a wife and 2 very young children who are left behind, all because somebody got pissed off and didn't like what he had to say. That is so unacceptable. It's fucking crazy. It'd be like shooting AJ or I because you don't like what we said about Star Wars. And I think it's just disgusting, and I just wish everybody could just come together, dude. It's like I hate that this happened. I hate seeing people sniping at each other, and yet tomorrow everyone's going to be best friends. It's like, be best friends a few hours early and learn the lessons from 9/11, that we are all the same. Stop this bullshit, man, of this argument, man. I'm sorry to be like a beatnik hippie, but I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about this. It's just a disgusting, disgusting thing that happened, and the reactions are equally disgusting from what I've seen. A lot of people, how they're reacting. So that's my little rant. Hey, God bless America, dude. I think it's a great country, and I'm very blessed to be here. And as I am every year, very sorry for the victims' families and the victims themselves of 9/11. So very somber day tomorrow. I'll have all the news coverage going on multiple TVs while I'm working, just to kind of pay my respects. So anyway, burning questions about Star Wars. Sorry to get political, but I'm very passionate about that. Look at Nick Hall. 404 AJ not found.
Well, fun fact, guys. There's a little power switch on the microphone, and sometimes somehow that gets knocked, I guess.
Never buy a microphone with a power switch.
That's told why. Me to buy this mic, dude.
Not with the power switch. There's versions without. Don't do that. Look at this. Chastity says in Utah, my niece was actually standing next to the shooter. Wow. Interesting. I thought he was on a roof, but that doesn't matter. Oh, well, that's sad. Anyway. Yep. Kale's got it. He says, well, at least here there's unity. We're all nerf herders down here, but honestly, I think America's starting to lose its mind. I don't know if we have a media veil, but we don't see good news often. Kale, I tend to agree with you on that. So
there is also a media veil, though.
Yeah.
There definitely. I mean, bad news is way more compelling for ratings than good news, unfortunately.
Yeah, I tend to. I subscribe to a couple like news YouTube channels just because I like to kind of see what, I balance out, like, okay, one side's going to obviously be leaning this way, one's the other way. So I kind of look for common facts, and that's how I make my determination of what actually is going on. And a few of them actually have like segments where it's like, oh, we're going to end the news with this really happy like news story. And so I tend to do those, and I keep them saved in my YouTube so I can go back and watch them if I've ever bummed out. Like, the world doesn't suck, dude. It's really good.
Yeah. Now that you want to throw yourself off a building, let's tell you one reason why you shouldn't.
Exactly. But yeah, so good to see you, dude. It's going to be interesting tonight because this is kind of like might turn out to be more of a free-form discussion, I think.
Yeah, definitely looking for the chat to bail us out on this one a little bit. The whole premise, we've been working on this idea for a while, this idea of trying to wrap our heads around, like, what does Star Wars look like in a post-Skywalker saga world?
Yeah.
And clearly it seems like Disney doesn't really know either, because they've been throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall. Some would say too much stuff. And we got quantity over quality, and they seem to be reversing course on that now. And there's a lot less in the pipeline. And as Star Wars podcasters, we need new stuff to have new topics. And so this topic itself was just born out of not having a whole lot to talk about right now. So I tried to flip it around and kind of ponder the question, like, so what do we know? And then what aren't they telling us, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's very few projects in the pipeline right now, like not nearly as many as years past. So we've got that right away. So I want to look at the first question that I had is, we keep getting announcements of casting and stuff like that for Star Wars Starfighter, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's coming out in 2027. So that's the movie that gets the 50th anniversary time slot. Mandalorian Grogu comes out next May. They haven't even publicly released a trailer yet.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
That's a good question, because part of me is like, are they trying to go back to, the old way of doing things, which is where you get a trailer, 4 to 6 months before, whatever, like 6 months before, whatever, and there you go. Instead of this just complete and utter media wash of here's a teaser, here's a trailer, here's a teaser, here's trailer 2. Like, are they trying to hold back this time and kind of subscribe to the less is more sort of that sort of philosophy? Because if they're not, like you said, God, like 9 months or something, 9 months out, whatever it is, like 10, and we don't have anything. So yeah, it's kind of weird. But
yeah, the question was in the chat here from Kale, said I thought they had. The trailer was played at Celebration this year and has not been released publicly since.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes sense to have something exclusive for Celebration, but you think by now it would have gone public.
Well, yeah, they do a pretty good job of scrubbing that stuff. I mean, we know from the Celebration things where they're like, oh, don't have your phone on. Like, you can go on pretty much immediately afterwards and find it, but then if you go back and look later, it ain't there. So,
well, that's what I mean. Is like, I get that they don't want anyone leaking the stuff, but then you'd think, okay, Celebration was what, April? Here it is, September. It's like 5 months later. Yeah, it's like 5 months post Celebration, and they have not dropped anything for the public yet. It's kind of amazing. Like, there's really nothing going on in the public eye right now for Star Wars,
which is kind of weird, because it's like,
yeah.
But then again, I mean, see, dude, it's funny that you brought up this topic, because I am so on the fence. I don't know what to think, because it's like, okay, is it good because we're not oversaturated, or is it bad because you're wondering, are they kind of on the downswing again? You know what? I don't know what to believe. And I mean, me personally, I kind of like when there's more buildup for something, like there's a little more hype, like when it's just constantly like shoved down your throat. I mean, that's awesome. There's a ton of Star Wars, but it's also, I always kind of think of it in terms of like wrestling. Like, I don't watch WWE anymore. Back in the day, I loved it, like in the mid 80s, early 90s, because there was only, especially at the beginning, there was one pay-per-view. And so you had a year to build up to that. And it was like, there was so much anticipation, it was almost like Christmas. But now there's like a pay-per-view every couple weeks. And I'm like, well, this isn't any good. Even WrestleMania, like they're announcing a match like the week of. I'm like, well, who gives a shit about that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're a huge wrestling fan, is it great to have all that wrestling? Yeah. But I mean, I just always think back to, especially like WrestleMania 3, when I was really getting into it, and I had to wait a year for Hogan and Andre. And then that whole thing blows up, and then all of a sudden the fallout is, then you had Saturday night's main event where the Hebner twins, like, oh, which is the real one, which led to the tournament and everything. It's like, and with Star Wars, it's kind of like, I like that we get so much content, but it's almost, and again, this is probably just being nostalgic, but I kind of like when it was not so much, and you just had to sit there and wait and build your expectation and anticipation. Like it just kind of makes it cooler, it kind of makes it feel more special. So I don't know. Where do you stand on that?
So here's what worries me. We know that principal photography is wrapped. They're in post-production now. They had enough footage that they could put out a trailer for a select audience 5 months ago. We know it's not going to be complete shots. They purposely, they work ahead on the trailer shots, and then sometimes the trailer shots don't even make it into the final cut of the movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes deliberately, in fact. But be that as it may, so we know they've got enough footage that they could put something together and release it, and they're choosing not to. And it's just a weird tactic to me that they're deciding that their marketing strategy is to completely drop out of the zeitgeist to come back later instead. There's already a pent up demand to a degree. I mean, there's been some misses in the franchise lately, but the last time anyone went to the movies for Star Wars with the exception of the re-release of Rogue One to hype up Andor,
Yeah.
was The Force Awakens in 2019.
Yeah.
It's 6 years later. It's going to be 7 years later when this thing comes out. And I just Googled, I wanted to know, when did the first trailer for Force Awakens drop? And that first teaser trailer came out on November 28th, 2014. A full 12 and a half months ahead of the theatrical release of the movie. So
man,
we should have had something by now.
Yeah.
Typically when studios do this, it's a lack of confidence in the movie. Like, the less they say about it, the less they show ahead of time, the more they want to build the hype on, like, from the producers of insert hit movie here, or based on a true story, or based on the number one best-selling novel. And then they don't show anything of the actual thing because they just don't have confidence in it. They can't stand on its own feet, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they know they're kind of sitting on a turd. I hope not.
Yeah. But the other thing to think about, though, is, I mean, think about all of the production difficulties that they've had with the recent, you just said it was like 70 years.
Yeah.
But with the most recent films that have been so public, you know, Solo having to basically be almost scrapped and started over mid-production. You know, you had all kinds of things about Episode 8 and whatnot, Rogue One, and maybe that stuff's going on. Maybe we're getting, you know, radio silence because that stuff is going on again, and they just don't want that bad publicity again. Maybe this is like purposeful because they're, you know, maybe the movie's not a turd like you suggested, but maybe they're having more of that chicanery going on. You know, the Kathleen Kennedy thing that people complain about, which I don't personally care about, but, you know, people are like, oh, you know, like Kathleen Kennedy's always got to have her fingers in everything. Like, maybe it's that.
Yeah, it could be. We never really have gotten confirmation if this movie was cobbled together from scripts for season 4 of The Mandalorian. So maybe they're just having a hard time editing it and they're not really sure what the finished product is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know how they're going to cram this in. I mean, I get that there was a solid stopping point there, you know, at the end of season 3. But I mean, you have the whole Grogu is a Padawan and, oh, here's Luke Skywalker thing hanging out there. You did nothing with it.
Yeah, they wrecked that with Book of Boba Fett. You know, you had this awesome cliffhanger at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian saying, like, oh my God, when or if Mando and Grogu ever see each other again. And then season 3 picks up and they're back together already. You're like, wait, what? Yeah. They got an episode and a half of an entirely different series to clear this up. Thank you.
Right. Like, Kale McLeish says, oof. Yeah. Kale says, I can hope both are untrue and they're just playing it close to the chest. Kale's goddamn disappointment. Cousin Chris, wow, he's checking in. Good to see you, cuz. It says, movies do not get the return on investment like they did pre-COVID. Maybe Disney doesn't want to spend the money marketing it to try and maximize the money they will eventually make on it.
This
that's
could
one
be
way to look at it. That's not a bad thought.
I mean, yeah, like all these Marvel things coming out lately, they're not doing bad at the box office, but the budgets are so big that it's still a financial, quote, you know, failure. The same way that Solo was a, quote, failure by only making over $400 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe they're just trying to control costs and that way they maximize the profit margin. It could be.
Could you imagine if that's the case? That's kind of sad. I don't know. But then, you know what?
Yeah, poor Star Wars and Disney. They don't have enough money to put out commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Well, and what's interesting is we were talking about the playing it closer to the vest type of thing. And what's interesting to me, maybe this is just a new marketing strategy of theirs, but like, you know, I got a burp. Excuse me, that just was way too, I couldn't mute the mic and everything. Right. But anyway, that was gross. But obviously very I'm a huge, I know that's very professional. But obviously I'm a huge Tron guy. I can't wait for Tron Ares. I've been geeked ever since they announced it. I've got huge plans to go see it. and I hadn't heard anything about it. It was, hey, they're making a new Tron. Okay.
Sold. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then it felt like a month and a half later, they were like, oh, we finished principal photography. I'm like, wait, huh? You just announced the goddamn thing. So, but, and I I've seen like a trailer. They finally had a trailer, and then there was like kind of like a teaser, or reverse order, excuse me. And I'm like, okay, but there's nothing. Well, now all of a sudden, like the last couple weeks, I'm seeing it everywhere. And I don't know if it's just my algorithm or anything, but they are just, Tron Ares is coming and you're goddamn sure going to know about it. Like, so maybe that's just their new way of doing things. Like they figured that maybe they just assume the fans know that this is happening. Like the diehards are going to be your base audience. So you kind of tease it out to them. They talk about it. And then right before, they just have this all out media blitz. Maybe that's just the new way Disney is going to.
Yeah, you might be onto something there. I mean, it's the same thing. I completely forgot that Tron was coming out soon. And like you said, all of a sudden it's everywhere. Yeah. So maybe that's their new strategy, is they're just concentrating their marketing dollars to do like a big blitz, like right ahead of time. And then you see how that works. I mean, Disney had an entire shakeup at the top of the food chain because the last regime didn't do so well. Like Disney was kind of floundering with all their properties. So maybe they were just trying a new marketing approach with a new storytelling approach too. Who knows? Yeah. I don't know. The other thing that concerns me though is that Star Wars in general is, I hate to say it, but kind of a tarnished brand right now because there has been so much mediocre stuff. And like, remember when HasLab started up with Star Wars stuff and they had Jabba's sail barge was the first thing. Yep. And it sold out immediately. It hit all of its, bonus tiers and everything. Like the man was through the roof for that thing. They failed to fund the last 2 HasLab projects, right? Like the gunship just failed by a couple thousand, I think. Okay. And then prior to that, I forget what the other it was Razor. It was the Razor Crest, wasn't it? No, the Razor Crest was funded, I think. Okay. Well, then here's a perfect point. Perfect, I'm supporting your point here. Losing my words. Apparently, non-alcoholic beer messes up your speech patterns. I didn't know there were 2 more after that. I had no idea that it was, there were. Oh, it was the Black Series Rancor. That's the one that also failed. What? What? Yeah. Oh, you. Oh. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. So, the Ghost got funded. That was 2023. 2024 was the Cantina. That got funded. The gunship closed 2 days ago. I don't know if that passed or not. But yeah, the Rancor in 2022 failed. Oh, successfully funded. Really? Wait, I thought that was a $350. I watched the whole video on how this didn't get funded. I did not know this was a thing, and it's damn good that I didn't. Oh, it was scrapped. Okay, it was scrapped according to Reddit, at least. So yeah, I mean, it, like I said, just demand for everything in general. I mean, you look at like the action figure aisles of like Target or anything for Star Wars these days. There's not a lot there. There's just, because it's all based around like what's coming out now, and the answer is nothing. So they might be having a marketing problem right now because they're like, what can we hype really? There's not a whole lot. And so I feel like Mandalorian Grogu is the most recent hit that they've had, but maybe they feel like the crowd is kind of tired on Mandalorian and Grogu for the moment. So they're letting him kind of fade into obscurity for a second so they can have a big comeback. Screw it. The rest of the show is about the HasLab Rancor. Are you looking it up right now? Oh, I'm looking. I will just say that Star Wars blood is rushing to a certain part of my body right now looking at this. And I'm glad I did not see this when it was out, because it's been a real hard sell to my wife as to why I dropped $350 on one action figure. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Well, I didn't. You know what? Our cousin makes a good point here. He says, once you have Jack Black pop up in a Star Wars show, what do you expect? Yeah. Nick Hall, the views of the Nerf Herder Council. Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know. I see. I think our cousin makes a good point. I have to admit that was like kind of jumping the shark a little bit. So that was maybe, like you said, that maybe the public doesn't want it as much, I guess, which would be interesting to me because that series was like wildly popular. So who wouldn't want to see it on the big screen?
It's a good question. I do understand some pushback though, because season 3 was the guest star and the Bo-Katan show. 1 week we had Christopher Lloyd, then we had Jack Black and Lizzo, and it was Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan for most of it, to where like we were questioning, like, is the Mandalorian really talking about Din Djarin or is it talking about Bo-Katan?
Yeah.
Like they went in hard on that, and then they had like some lame ass fight that looked like it was done at recess, like just in the grass outside of school. Like,
right.
And it had so much promise with the first episode of season 3. They had the spot of the mythosaur in there, and we were all waiting for something about the mythosaur, right?
Yeah.
And
well, that's why.
No,
that's why it's like I'm excited about the movie, but I have to admit, like, I thought they should have kept the show going. I have to admit, I'm disappointed in that because there was a lot of stuff that is a very noisy glass. We're getting like,
well, we're gonna see. I figured in the spirit of Oktoberfest, I would drink out of a glass boot tonight.
That's why I was like, is that a boot? It's like making the glugs like a boot. Okay.
Yeah.
See, Chastity Crawley, by the way, she is just on point, man. She says I should buy it as a gift for my grandson MJ. She said, spend the $350 and say it will grow in value as he grows. Gift from Nano. You'll just be keeping it safe in your man cave. Kale says that's got to be done. There's no way to not do that now. I agree. But yeah, I was really sad that the show didn't continue because first of all, it was exceptionally high quality, at least in my opinion. And I thought there were more than enough story threads to keep exploring. So, I mean, there's just so much more story to be told with Din Djarin and Grogu and especially you're talking about Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian, all that kind of stuff. Like there's so many things, so many directions to go that you just stop it. I was like, well, and that's one of my burning Star Wars questions. Are they going to bring it back? Is the Mandu I did it again. Mandu and Grogu.
Yep.
Why every time we talk about this movie, I say Mandu and Grogu. God bless it. Mandalorian.
Damn it, Mandu. The Mandalorian, there's another shirt for us. Mandu and Grogu. There's another logo. Get on it. But yeah, every time, man, I don't know why, but anyhow, yeah, I'm hopeful that maybe this is kind of like a relaunch rather than the exclamation point at the end of the sentence for the series. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that it's like, okay, well, this is the start of a new adventure for them. Oh, and the other stuff's going to happen in a television show. So,
yeah, I mean, we've still got that alleged Dave Filoni Avengers style movie where all of these New Republic era shows culminate. Probably in a big battle against Thrawn, we think. Unless they just, shoot their wad in Ahsoka season 2, which kind of segues us nicely.
And there you have my reaction.
Well, here's one of the problems with these New Republic era shows. Like, we know they're heading to the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So how big of a story can they really tell in this Mandalorian and Grogu
how you doing
movie?
Oh.
How big of a story can they tell in this, knowing that the future events are all predetermined? Like we all know where the story is heading. So even if they introduce some big new threat, we're like, well, clearly it's not that big a threat because no one talked about it 25 years on.
Yeah. I'm hoping that my initial thought about what they were doing with these actually comes to fruition. And that is they're going to make the sequel trilogy make sense and seem better to people. Because I have to admit, I was thinking about them over the weekend. I was like, man, I haven't watched those in a while. And then I thought, do I need to? I mean, I really like them, but as the years are passing, I'm just going, they're getting more and more superfluous and needless to me.
Mhm.
There's just nothing, and I hate that because, I love The Last Jedi. I really like Rise of Skywalker, even as goofy as it is. And, my thoughts about episode 7 notwithstanding, it's a Star Wars movie. It's a good Star Wars movie, minus the Han Solo thing. And, I just hope that they're able to make them, I hate to use this word, but I just have to. Make them better. Let the stuff around it actually make what happens in the movies make sense. So that then all of a sudden, like their value increases and people are like, okay, now I get it. And there's always going to be that segment of the fan base that if that happens, they're going to go, oh, see, they needed years and years and years of shows to make them make sense. Like, but who cares? Now they do. Now you can actually look at them in a new light and actually enjoy them. So what's bad about that?
Yeah, you mean like the Clone Wars?
Thank you.
I mean, I don't think as they were coming out, the prequels had nearly as much pushback. Like the rejection wasn't quite so instant with the prequels.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of backlash on Jar Jar, but the prequels in general, people were hyped for, and demand was pretty solid for them.
Yeah.
But the sequels were pretty much trashed from the beginning by at least a segment of the fan base, and it didn't have the benefit of a 7-season animated show to like flesh out the characters and connect to the tissue of the movies and stuff. There was also a lot less time spent in the sequel trilogy, meaning like the chronological in-universe years, with 7 and 8 being literally just two halves of one timeline right there.
Yeah.
And then what was it, 1 year later was Rise of Skywalker in universe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a very brief time period in the galaxy, but I'm with you. I feel like there might be a chance to redeem it if they told some supplemental stories and kind of fleshed out what we saw in the movies and make it like not so jarring. Because the biggest complaint on Rey is she's Mary Sue. Like she gets her powers way too easily, and she's way stronger than any Jedi ever before. And there's no explanation for that. It should take years of training, yada yada yada. And well, what if we tell some stories that explain how Rey leveled up so hard so fast?
Yeah. Yep. No, and that's, I think that's one of the reasons why I was so excited when they announced the Rey movie. I wish they'd talk more about that. I've been on record of saying I love that character, and I don't know why. I just, something about that character I immediately just really enjoyed. And Nick Hall, I agree with you, man. He says, I hate that complaint. Rey could have just been a tool used by the living force. Yeah, I mean, you can explain it that way, Nick. And also, I mean, people are talking about Luke Sky. They don't, mention the Luke Skywalker thing. Well, he was using the force pretty quick too. And she said, well, how can Rey do it? Well, she was a Palpatine. She's like the Emperor's granddaughter, for God's sakes. Like he's, super forcey as well. So it's, I understand it's much in a much shorter time frame. But it's happened before, so maybe she's like the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart of frickin' the Force. You never know.
Could be. I do come down on the side of if you have to fanfic your way into making a story make sense, then the filmmakers didn't do their job.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I just, I don't know. I didn't look at it that heavily.
Yeah.
Nick Hall he says, oh my God. He said, also fair point. I just always assumed Luke got some sweet Yoda training in. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and I understand like where everyone's coming from. I've said it before. It just didn't bother me as much as it bothers a lot of people. I mean,
I think people are just way more, they scrutinize it way harder now, because now that I'm walking back in my head, thinking about Luke's training, in Return of the Jedi, he made it was made pretty clear that he had not been back to see Yoda. Like he promised to come back at the end of Empire when he flew off to Bespin, but he didn't. He didn't get back there until the next movie, which meant that he only had that first set of training and got absolutely wrecked by Vader in that lightsaber duel.
Mm-hmm.
So how did he level up so much between movies? Because no one was training him.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was just hanging out with Ghost Obi-Wan. I don't think he even saw Obi-Wan at all again until he went back to Endor. Or not Endor, Jesus. Dagobah.
Skipped the whole part.
So he's basically just like training himself for, again, probably a year. I think there's a short time span between 5 and 6. So Luke levels up like crazy between movies without any rational explanation, and we just went with it. We're just like, okay, cool. Luke is strong in the Force now. Way to go. Good job.
Right.
But now it's like we need 3 comic series, we need an animated show, maybe a webisode or 2, and let's write 3 novels about it too. Just to make sure we've got enough proof that this guy can actually hack it. Like,
exactly.
Come on, man. Like sometimes it's okay to just like go along for the ride. And I think audiences are just a little bit more skeptical now, and they kind of ruin it for themselves in that respect.
No, I agree with that. I think that's a huge part of it. You know, it's. I mean, how many times have we talked about like sometimes people think too much when they're doing this stuff? You know, it's like just can't you just watch it for the entertainment value of it? Like, why have to question every damn bit of it? Like, you know, but I mean.
The fact that we even have to ask questions about certain plot points proves that we were so sucked into the story, we just didn't care about it as we were taking it in. Like, how long were the events of this movie? Don't know, don't care.
Yeah. It was because you're having fun, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm completely with you. But yeah, I mean, back to what I was saying, though, that's why I'm excited about the Rey series. Because number one, I really like that character. But number two, I think that it opens up a whole just huge amount of possibilities for, you know, future stories and where it could go, because to bring her back, I don't understand how it can be anything but, okay, well, I'm going to try and resurrect the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
With her belief in the Jedi, and especially, you know, getting all the help from the Ghost Jedi, you know, to defeat Palpatine and stuff like that. You know, I just don't see how it can, you know, turn into just an Indiana Jones movie where it's like, well, there's a MacGuffin for Rey and she achieves it and off she goes on another, you know, like it's just, I don't think you can do that. And I just think there's too much potential to kind of like start a new story thread there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited for it. So, I mean, I know we're talking about new properties. That's one of the ones I'm really looking forward to. And I'm kind of bummed out we haven't heard more about it.
Well, that's that's a really good segue, actually, because I want to talk about that. So we've had like 4 writers now on this thing. It just keeps like getting stuck in the story phase.
Yeah.
Does that concern you? Or do you think it's just a matter of like, we just know way more about the production processes that's going on now, and this isn't that atypical? Like, what is so hard to crack about this Rey movie?
Well, I think it's, you know, I don't think it's atypical, because Star Wars is not just any old movie. And I'm not saying that as like a fanboy, but with other properties, you're doing a one-off movie. It's like its own story, you know, whatever. You know, but with Star Wars, especially a character like Rey with all that history and backstory, you have to tie in so many things.
She is all the Jedi, after all.
Exactly. Right. You beat me to it. But I mean, you have to tie in so many things and tell a new story that doesn't kind of crap on what came before. I mean, there are a lot of moving pieces to doing something like this. I think the only thing that does worry me is that we have been told for God knows how many years that the Lucasfilm Story Group is 3 years ahead.
Yeah.
So, you know, like Mandu and Grogu,
yeah,
that one, you know, when they wrote the story for that, you know, if it comes out next year, that means that in 2023, mid 2023, they were already writing what happens after it. So if that's the case, then the Rey thing, you would think, has already been fleshed out by now. But
I wonder about that because of this stuff where projects get announced and canceled. So the story group can't really be 3 years ahead because they might be like approving or unapproving projects and then find out that, well, like, oh, that thing where we said it couldn't happen because Rogue Squadron was addressing a thing. Well, Rogue Squadron's not a thing now, so let's walk that back.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point.
It's really like chaotic, I would think. Like, can you imagine having that job to be the one in charge of canon, and you've got all these things in production or pre-production, and then find out that, well, those things are no longer in pre-production. They're just gone. So don't count that after all.
Yeah. Kale has an interesting comment. Expound on this in the chat, Kale, because I want to talk about that a little. He says, if they're 3 years ahead, we are done. So expound on that, like, because that's an interesting point. Nick Hall says they were 3 years ahead. They're 6 months behind now. Yeah, that very well could be. I'm
guessing the current streaming landscape has got to be a big wrench in the works, right? Like, they thought streaming was the next coming, and that's why they had all the Disney Plus projects lined up. Disney Plus projects? Yeah, I'm doing great too. Anyway, all the Disney Plus projects lined up, and they thought that basically, like, screw movie theaters. Like, people didn't like Rise of Skywalker, and we've got a streaming platform now. That's our money.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people got sick of streaming because it costs too damn much. And, well, we still want good stuff, not just more stuff. So
yeah,
it kind of blew up in their face. And now they're like, shit, we got to go back to movie theaters, but we really didn't have anything movie theater budget or level. Like, what was your reaction when Mandalorian and Grogu? We're just going to slur it worse and worse the rest of the night. Anyway, When that movie was announced, did you have the same reaction as me where it just felt like a cash grab? Where they're like, we got to get something back in theaters. What's the last thing we had that was popular? Yeah, write a movie about that.
I hate to admit this, but yeah.
Oh, wait. Sorry, there we go.
Nick Hall, Mandu and Grogu, the new Disney Plus project. I was thinking that, Nick, and I was like, if I try and say that out loud, I'll blow it.
Right.
So I'm glad you wrote that out so I could just read it. Yeah, I have to admit I kind of did. I think because of how much I love Rogue One and Solo, I was hoping for a fresh story. I mean, I'm going to love it. I'm going to go see it. But yeah, I kind of was like, but also, like I said earlier, I was really hoping that the show itself would continue. So my hope is that this isn't like, okay, it's the last you're going to get. Because, but yeah, cash grab, yes, and kind of nervous because I don't want this to be the end of the road for those characters. Makes me nervous as well.
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, I think The Mandalorian is the victim of its own success and the actor's own success. Every show gets more expensive year on year because paychecks go up. And there's that Pedro Pascal problem.
Yeah.
It's like a similar thing happened in the Star Trek world where they had Star Trek Discovery going on, and one of the characters was played by Michelle Yeoh. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once came out. She won an Oscar. And now all of a sudden they had this project that they had announced starring Michelle Yeoh because she was not very expensive at the time. Yeah. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, shit, after Shang-Chi and winning an Oscar, now what do we do?
Yeah.
So much for the TV series she was going to be on. Let's make it one movie and get the hell out.
Yeah. By the way, Kale has expounded upon his point. He says, if 3 years ahead ends up with this little, then we're going to need the reactions to know if a sequel can be greenlit. We're out. There's nothing to continue right now. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that.
That is an issue with the current climate, especially in streaming. I mean, that was the Acolyte problem, right? They left us on a cliffhanger with season 1 because they did not have an out. They just thought they were going to get a season 2.
Yeah. Chastity has a good point as well. She says maybe they are 3 years ahead with possible storylines, but they have to get random approval and then remake the connections based on rejections. Yeah, I think that's part of it. You and AJ kind of hit on that, Chaz. I think that makes a lot of sense. And, with the rejections and everything that we're talking about, and, to your point about streaming and all that kind of stuff, Age, I think because a couple of the shows, obviously Acolyte and Skeleton Crew did not do what they expected. I think that kind of, maybe threw a monkey wrench in the works. Maybe not so much Skeleton Crew, because I don't know how that would tie into the greater narrative. That kind of seemed like a one-off to me. But, definitely Acolyte.
Man, I wonder what the reception within Lucasfilm is to Skeleton Crew. I really enjoyed that show.
It was fun.
That show, yeah. I mean, I think the way you have to approach any of these things, as far as like, was it good, was it bad, is what were you expecting? Like, if something exceeds expectations, if you thought it was going to be terrible and it ended up being mediocre, you're like, wow, that was really satisfying. If you think it's going to be the best thing ever and it comes out to only be like a 7 out of 10, then you're like, wow, that. To your point about the sequel trilogy, like Rise of Skywalker, everyone's like, oh, this is such a terrible movie. Like, because it was supposed to be the culmination of 9 movies and 45 years of storytelling. Yeah, it definitely fell way short. But it's not the dumpster fire that people make it out to be.
Yeah.
The Skeleton Crew, we had very low expectations, and we went in and were very well entertained by it.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and it had enough cool concepts and lore dropped in there that like they could tell other stories off of it. So
yeah,
I really hope that wasn't viewed as a failure within Lucasfilm, because I think people were entertained by it, and at the very least, no one's out there like with pitchforks telling Disney, please don't make any more of this, like they are, or like they were for the Acolyte, for example.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know, unfortunately, if I read correctly, I think Skeleton Crew is like the lowest rated and streamed Disney Plus Star Wars show.
Do you think this is like the Solo problem where, there was the Last Jedi backlash, so Solo suffered. So Acolyte came out and then Skeleton Crew just got, suffered the consequences?
God, I hope not, dude, because I hate that reaction. I really, really do. And I hate to do fan on fan crime here, but I just hate when people do that. Well, I didn't like this one thing, so I'm not going to watch the next one. Well, then piss off. Like go away. That is such a stupid outlook. Like, how do you know you're not going to love it? I didn't get into Clone Wars. What, I'm not going to watch like the next Star Wars properties that come out because I didn't get into like, the cartoon show? No. Like, it might just, maybe it's just not for me. And what's coming out later will be for me. Boycotting something, part of a property because I hated, it's like listening to a band and like you don't like one of their records and they put out the next album. I'm not listening to that because I don't like the previous album. Like, stop. That's dumb. I don't understand that. And I know I'm being a dick and I'm, calling.
Well, I think for the casual fan, it's different though. And this is one of the problems that Star Wars has had too, is there's so many eras they can play in that, like, okay, so you didn't like Last Jedi, here comes another Star Wars movie. People might think, well, I didn't like that last thing, and this builds on that one, so I don't want to go see it. Not realizing it's a disconnected story.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I just think if you're, I mean, let's face it, we're Star Wars fans. And most of the people we know are Star Wars fans. And anybody we know that really considers themselves a fan, they'll watch anything that comes out. They may not like everything, but they'll watch it. I don't know anybody that boycotts, which is such a strange. I mean, the whole reaction to Solo for me just will always drive me nuts, because I know so many people that I saw online that did that. Oh, I hate The Last Jedi, I'm not watching Solo. And now they're online, they're going, oh, we need Solo too. Solo was so good. Oh, was it? Because you're part of the reason you screwed everything up. Like, that everything got screwed up, excuse me, because I'm not watching that. Like, well, look what you did. You missed out seeing it in the theater, like a movie you love. You missed out seeing it on the big screen, which is awesome. And now you killed it. Like, we don't get a Solo 2. So, well, Nick Hall, I wonder, he said, honestly, Lucasfilm lost their anchor, being Grief Karga.
Yeah, I was going to call that up in the chat there. What do you think about that? Do you think Grief Karga was really like pivotal? I think in terms of their New Republic universe the Disney Plus shows. I think that was the anchor being.
I could see that. It's not that important to me. Because that show's always been about Mandu and Grogu. So
Yeah.
But I just think the other characters, like he's the main character, don't get me wrong. And you're right. I mean, that could have been like something pretty major. But I just think for me, if they had to just kind of go away from that character because they don't have Carl Weathers, I mean, I'd be okay with it. You obviously prefer he's there, but it's not like Din Djarin goes away and the show just becomes Grogu. Like, wait, where'd that guy go? Like, part of the interesting thing is the whole disparity between their outlooks and their upbringing and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, it is a bummer. I've always enjoyed Carl Weathers in stuff that he's done, but I never thought he was like that pivotal. But man, yeah, it does kind of suck to think of like knowing that backstory. Like if the character never showed up again, like obviously he's not going to show up in the movie, but it's knowing why he's not showing up that does kind of make that absence be felt,
Yeah. Maybe they'll just write him out real quick.
There is hope though. Did you see that Cara Dune settled her lawsuit? So there's that.
Are we allowed to talk about that? Or are we going to get like blacklisted for?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, Gina Carano and Disney settled, so she could potentially return. Ooh. They issued the usual PR-ish kind of statement about like, we look forward to possibly working with her on future projects, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that Rangers thing, wasn't that supposed to be her?
Yeah.
New Republic Rangers or whatever it was. Nick Hall, he says, I was just making a joke, gents. Well, but you know what, though? It's actually a valid question, Nick. So good joke, but a valid question at the same time. So excellent comment. This is why we love the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I would be shocked if Gina Carano comes back. I mean, because she's not going to want to keep her mouth shut on social media. And the next time she spouts off something that a bunch of people don't like, it's going to happen all over again.
Yeah, but I think it might be a Monty Python situation where the people who have sacked the last crew have themselves been sacked.
True. That's true.
I mean, so it wasn't like Lucasfilm wasn't the one. No one, as far as we know, no one at Lucasfilm, wasn't like Kathy Kennedy said, get her the hell out of here. I think it came down from on high in Disney, and the guy running Disney is not the same guy anymore. So it's entirely possible, I think, especially if they're really looking for ways to, get some eyeballs back on Star Wars, bring back a fan favorite character. To your point earlier that we started off the whole show with, like, politics be damned, like Star Wars, anything you love as a pop culture franchise should be a safe space. It should be an escape. So I don't actually care what those actors' politics are behind the scenes for the most part. Like if it's truly hateful stuff, it's truly hateful stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are like, it's like, to bring it back to wrestling again, like it makes it hard to be it made it hard to be a WWE fan once all the allegations on Vince McMahon came out. Like while he was still running the company and you knew what a sleazebag he was and what he was, being indicted for. Yeah. Okay. That can creep into my entertainment, but just because she said some stuff on social media that you don't agree with, that's not cause for me to be like, well, I can't watch Cara Dune anymore.
Yeah, but think how many people actually do that. I mean, I think that's the problem. That's the world we live in. I mean, that's a reality. If they were to announce, hey, Cara Dune's coming back, we're doing the New Republic Rangers, you know what you're going to see on social media. I'm not watching. I mean, you're going to have that. And if they're trying to get more eyeballs on Star Wars, that's not the way to do it, unfortunately. I completely agree with you. Regardless of whether or not I agree with someone or disagree with them when they post random garbage on social media, unless it's something so unbelievably heinous that the whole world can agree that it's just like vile and wrong, I'm not going to sit there and piss all over somebody. It's like, well, I don't agree with you, but I'll go still watch your stuff. I mean, there's plenty of actors out there that I think their political stances are just absolutely stupid. one of my favorite authors. I just wish he would shut up on social media because he looks like a buffoon half the time. Sometimes I agree, sometimes
Chuck
I don't.
Wendig. Yep.
Oh God.
Yep.
I just saw his name. I just saw his name come up the other day. I was like, nope, not reading that. But yeah, like it does nothing to my enjoyment of his work. It's, does he look like a complete ass sometimes? Yeah. Do I agree with him sometimes? Yeah. But I think you nailed it when you said, like, I don't care what their politics are outside. I just want to be entertained. But unfortunately, we are a dying breed. That is not the way the world seems to be going.
Well, and to be clear, I don't think people would accuse us of burying our heads in the sand. Like, you should care about these things. Like, there's a time and a place, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta breathe. It's okay. It's okay to just go watch a Star Wars and be entertained by it. And you don't have to worry about what the real world implications are.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, I have been accused of that exact thing. We're burying your head in the sand. I'm like, yeah, because I don't give a shit. It's not important enough to me, man. I know what's important to me in my life, and that's not it. I got a family to worry about. I got a grandson to worry about. The pet charities I like to donate time and money to, things like that. Like, yeah. Otherwise, I don't care. So if a Star Wars actor is a dickhead outside of Star Wars, like, is it annoying? Do you wish they would shut up? Yeah. But am I going to not watch it? No. I mean, yeah. Harrison Ford could be a weirdo here and there. Am I going to stop loving Han Solo and Indiana Jones? Fuck no. Are you kidding me? Hell no. Not a chance.
Especially not with how the Great Circle turned out, which I know he had nothing to do with, but
it's so good. So good, man. Holy crud. I gotta, once we're off air, I gotta see if I can real quick look up a video of that scene I told you about and show it to you, because then you're not gonna play it. Look at the, speaking of buffoons, look at this ratbird goof. Mark Thrasher, episode 8 was a derailment. 9 tried to fix it, and Andor is the true last hope. No, his stupid team is purposely pissing on the city of Cleveland this weekend. We don't need to listen to his garbage. Love you, Mark. Miss you, bro. We were supposed to be there this weekend. Damn it, if the band didn't have a show. Look at Mark Thrasher. Hey, you call him Dr. Jones. No time for love. Oh my gosh. By the way, Travis Mitchell tuning in. Great to see you, bro. He says, hey guys, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Actually said, how's it going, guys? Apparently I can't read. Yeah. Chastity Crawley, she's got it right. She says, it's an instant gratification society. It's all or nothing. If someone says something slightly sideways, people lose their minds and are out for blood. Exceptionally well phrased. Yes, totally agree with that.
Yep.
Okay.
But no, that raises a good point, though. It is instant gratification, and we were just talking about the lack of a marketing push for Star Wars in general right now. So do they run the risk of becoming irrelevant?
Say that again?
Being an instant gratification society, it means like our attention spans are so short now because there's always like something else to like seize the conversation and grab everyone's attention. So does this lack of Star Wars right now create a problem? Like they have to start from scratch when they decide they do want to come back out again?
I don't think so. I think Star Wars is such a massive thing. I think maybe what's needed, I mean, if you want to say that interest has waned a little bit, maybe like a giant hit, something like a Rogue One, where the whole fan base is like, oh my God, that's like a masterstroke. First season of Mandalorian was like that.
True.
I think Andor as a whole is like that, but I don't think as many people tuned into that, because I think, the people that didn't like Andor, I think were just quiet about it. They're like, yeah, it's not for me. And the people that loved it absolutely loved it. But I think it was so high quality that even the people that didn't like it couldn't go, well, this is pure dog shit. So yeah, I think maybe let's say if a Starfighter or Mandu and Grogu, if or the Rey movie or one of these things comes out and it's just universally lauded as like a return to form for Star Wars type of thing, I think that would help a lot. to re-energize the fan base and overall interest in it. But I just think Star Wars is so popular. I mean, it's it's kind of like Metallica in a way. Metallica is so big that even if they put out a new record and it only sells 4 million copies, everyone's like, oh, it's a failure for Metallica. Whereas for everybody else, it's like the greatest success.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
For Star Wars, it's kind of the same thing. It's even like a poorly performing Star Wars project is still wildly successful in general. So
It's true. It's true. So I wanted to talk about what social media has dubbed the Andor effect, because it's one. I guess I didn't know this, by the way. There's actually 2 separate sets of Emmys, one for like crew and one for cast. So Andor is an award-winning show. Just they haven't done the cast Emmys yet, but it is winning for like costume design and sound design and yada yada, all the production based stuff. And everyone friggin' loves season 2 of Andor, and then the whole series in its entirety as a result. To where everyone's like, this is what Star Wars needs to be forevermore. This is the only thing that Star Wars should be. It's the most popular thing that they've done. It's the most insightful thing, and everyone loves Andor. That's great. How do you think it's going to impact these future stories? Like, you've got something as slow burning and insightful as Andor, and then you go all the way over to like Ahsoka and likely season 2, for example, where it really is like cartoon level writing. And I don't mean that as a slight. I mean, like, it was meant to continue an animated show. So the writing is kind of cartoonish. And I think that's the biggest problem, is that it's a live action show trying to use cartoon level writing. If it was animated, I think people wouldn't have nearly the problem with it. So like, do you think like everything Star Wars has to pull some lessons from Andor to be popular now? Or do you think there's room for campy, lowbrow, whatever you want to call it, Star Wars alongside something like Andor?
No, I think there's definitely room for it, because Andor is the outlier when you think about it. Like, part of the charm of Star Wars has always been that there's always that little bit of camp to it, and that's kind of the escapism part of it. And Andor, what set it apart was everyone's like, I mean, think about it. People are going, I mean, this is gritty. This is real. This is like super personal. It was very different. And so I don't think that I don't think that they need to make a course correction on everything else to be that way, because I think that's changing like the core of Star Wars. So I think the way they're doing it is fine. I mean, hell, Ahsoka, even though you and I are not fans, that's a hugely popular show. That's why I was like, right away, they were like, oh, season 2 is coming, because they knew everyone was just loving it. Liberty Timmons, great to see you, says Star Wars always was and always should be weird and campy. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if Star Wars tried to take itself too seriously? How fun would that be?
Yeah. Andor had a little bit of that, but yeah, it was definitely less campy than the other projects. Maybe it's just down to something as simple as like, because there's so much variety in the types of stories that are told in Star Wars now, maybe it's just Disney and Lucasfilm that need to adjust their expectations and understand that the definition of success, it used to just be, we put out a movie and it's an episode, and that is the totality of Star Wars. And now it's like, well, here's our campy animated stuff over here, or our live action show based off of campy animated over here. Here's our gritty political drama over here. And, you've got all these different types now for different audiences. So maybe instead of expecting everything to be loved by everyone and therefore be a $1 billion juggernaut, maybe they just realize that they're writing for smaller niches with every production.
I think that's a great point. Because, think about it. I'm going to watch Ahsoka season 2, but that's because, it's Star Wars. But I'm not going into it going, I can't wait to watch this because I loved Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's Star Wars. It's like in my DNA. I have to watch it.
Yeah.
Would I rather watch Kenobi again? Hell yeah. So, I like Kenobi. I like the camp stuff. I mean, it's, even Andor. I mean that's a perfect example where I'm concerned because, I said this when we kind of put the show together in its totality. I didn't really get into it until like the final 2 episodes of the whole thing. Everyone else was just like, this is just the most, it's like a Leonardo da Vinci painting. It's the most perfect Star Wars thing ever. And I'm like, I don't get it. Nothing's happening. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then when I got to the last couple episodes, I'm like, okay, but those are also the episodes that move the quickest and the most stuff happens. So, I like that sort of thing. The slow burn where it's just like super expositional. I'm like, yeah.
Okay,
Like,
Kale's with you. He's defending Kenobi.
Kale, that is like the greatest comment I've ever heard. He says, yeah, same, John. I would love more Kenobi, even if it sacrificed more Ahsoka to get it. Let's sacrifice all of Ahsoka just to get more Kenobi.
But what if you get Purgle in Kenobi as a result? Are you willing to have more Purgle?
We don't need that kind of shit on this show. I am not going to be putting a Kobayashi Maru by my own brother. That I will not answer that question. That is bullshit. I was set up. Fuck that. Don't ever do that again, AJ. And you think about what you did for a few seconds and I'll bring you back. Don't ever ask me that question again. That is impossible. Kobayashi Maru. Kobayashi Maru. Yeah, that's, oh my God. Could you imagine we're sitting there watching Kenobi? Well, I would be watching because you hate Kenobi. So I'd be sitting there watching like, this is the best. This is, oh God, there's a Purgle. Oh God. Oh God. That would be when JT has an aneurysm or a stroke or both at the same time.
What have I done?
Exactly. But this is good. So Kale asks, would you rather save Kenobi or Andor if the master files were about to be lost in a catastrophic event? Oh, I have 2 answers. I know AJ's answer, so his doesn't really matter. I can make a case for both. On a personal preference thing, it would be Kenobi all day long. However, for the future of Star Wars properties and projects, I think I would have to go with Andor because there's more storytelling you could do with it. Kenobi is kind of a standalone, hey, this happened, okay, it's over. There's not a lot of like world building off of the end of Kenobi. We know where it goes. Mm-hmm. Andor, there's a lot more that you could do with it. So for the sake of let's keep expanding Star Wars, unfortunately, I would have to say Andor. So I'm basically sacrificing my favorite Disney Plus show so that everybody else can have a good time. See how selfless I am? Look at that.
That's really enlightened, actually. I'm kind of amazed by that.
Well, I'm logical, man. I'm logical. Kaylee, yep. And we found JT on the floor dead within the space of that episode's runtime. This is interesting. Real quick. So Travis says, one issue with Kenobi for me is it really didn't feel like the writers had seen the prequels, but were writing based on Wikipedia summaries, like how those AI scenes on YouTube people make. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one, Travis. I thought it was a cool story. I thought, it was a very fun way to present something that we didn't need. Because a lot of people said, "What the?" I think AJ, that's one of your complaints. Like, what's the point of this? But I thought it was still very entertaining. Like, yeah, we didn't need it. Yeah, it's pointless. You could have done something else that was more, important. Some Plagueis stuff or something like that or whatever. But I thought they did a great job of making it matter and making it entertaining. So I think I would have to. Oh my God, that is fabulous! I was like, is he changing the graphics in the middle of the show? Like, oh my God, that is amazing. Say, and by the way, it's JT. You got to get the name right on this show, man. What are you doing? Good Lord!
No, JT is my friend.
Well, you're the one that put me in that situation, you ass. What the hell is that?
Anyway, no. See, if you really want to get sidetracked back on Kenobi, we can. But
No. We're talking about new stuff. So
yeah, I respectfully disagree. There's clamorings for, even I think Hugh McGregor said he'd be open for a second season of Kenobi, and the question is like, what story is there to tell?
And that's my thing. I don't know.
I mean, he's supposed to be completely rusty and out of the game when episode 4 hits. How many more stories can you tell within 10 years of that to explain why this guy is so off his game by the time Luke Skywalker comes across him?
Yeah. It would almost tarnish it, I think, unless they came up with just some unbelievably perfect story to explain, what he's doing, or why he all of a sudden loses his, he's not as good at the Force anymore, like you said, by the time episode 4 rolls around. I don't know. And I don't know how the hell they would do that. Again, that one to me, as much as I love it, it would feel like they're shoehorning something in.
Yeah, it's like my favorite video game franchise, Metroid, where you acquire all these powers. You end up way stronger as a character by the end of the game. And then the next game starts and they got to invent some contrivance to explain why you don't have any of your shit again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's got amnesia. maybe he fought the Krayt Dragon previously and just got wrecked,
The whole first season was a fever dream.
Yeah.
So now we're going to tell a story that actually happened.
Yeah. The one thing the Force can't prevent is CTE.
Yes.
So the last thing that we know is coming for sure is Starfighter in 2027.
Okay.
And we've gotten casting announcements for it, but again, this is allegedly a standalone movie, which means we still don't have a central core. During the Skywalker saga, we at least had that trunk of the story, right? It's like the Avengers through line in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you always know there's this the most important thing going on in the universe is in episode insert number here, or in Marvel terms, it's in the Avengers movie. Star Wars doesn't have that right now. Do you think Starfighter is an attempt at a fresh start, given that it's beyond the events of episode 9? So it's the furthest future-based thing we've got. So blank slate for the galaxy. There's no New Republic. There's no First Order, which doesn't make a lot of sense, by the way, because the Final Order was the one that got nuked in Rise of Skywalker, not the First Order.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, I think we're meant to assume that the First Order's gone, right?
It's my assumption.
They've got a blank slate, and they're just starting with one movie. Do you think that's the way to go?
I got to be honest, I don't know what they're going to do.
This has been confirmed to only be a short amount of time after Rise of Skywalker, right? So Rey is still alive at this point.
Yeah.
As are Finn and Poe, and but so sequel trilogy characters are in play from a timeline standpoint, but we've heard no mention that any sequel trilogy characters are going to be included.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know what to think about this one. I mean, it's very much a source of confusion for me. I'm excited
the title
about
doesn't really give us anything, right?
Yeah. So I'm wondering what the hell it's going to be about. I mean, the one thing for me, I know you're not, I don't think I'm bored with me, but I really like Ryan Gosling. So I'm glad that, he's part of it. I like that. And, I like that it's a new story of some kind, but I have no idea what the hell they're doing with it. I mean, that's the thing about all these future projects. We really don't know what they're doing with all of it. I mean, we don't have a clue. There's not even, to me, a lot of little threads to kind of potentially tie together. So on this one, I really do not know. I mean, is this going to be in tandem with the Rey movie where she's getting the Jedi Order back together, and the Starfighter thing is building up the the Republic fleet again or something. And you know, is the Ahsoka series building up Thrawn to have this amazing army? So that's going to be your huge battle. They're building to that whole thing. Like, I don't know. I almost feel like.
So this could be an Avengers style approach, is what you're saying. Is like you said, you put all these pieces in place in the same timeline, but they don't really cross over until they do.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I think that they need to do that sort of presentation, like the whole Avengers style thing, like building to that huge climax, like, you know, Endgame and Infinity War and stuff like that. Like,
now what if Ryan Gosling races a Purgle in this movie?
Oh, I'm leaving the theater. You're not baiting me, man. I've already had my Purgle ramp before.
Sorry, I dumped myself because I knew you were going to do it anyway.
There you go. No, I was actually trying to hold down. So there we go. Yeah, I kind of think that I'm hoping that Starfighter and these other things, that they're the groundwork for. Kale says, you really aren't smart, AJ. Yeah, I'm really hoping that Starfighter is the start to a bigger story. I think that'd be pretty cool. Liberty Timmons says, I want them to only concentrate on one movie at a time, since they keep letting us down with announcements that don't come to fruition. Yeah. I think, you know what though, Liberty, on that one, I think they've learned their lesson on that, because they had so many things announced that got scrapped, and I think they caught enough shit from people that finally they're like, look, we're not telling you anything unless we know what's happening. So yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what I expect, but I know what I'm hoping. Because honestly, I think that would kind of bring some more interest back to the Star Wars property, like, you know, kind of bringing it full circle. Like, it's a, you know, has it waned a little bit? We've talked about that a little. I think if people knew that this is going somewhere and that everything they're getting is a little piece of this giant puzzle, I think people would kind of tune in a little bit more. It would garner a little more interest.
See, that's what I'm thinking too. It's the thing that Star Wars has always had. Like, yes, we got some spin-offs. Eventually we started getting like the Clone Wars and other animated stuff around that, but we always knew that there was like that, like I said, that trunk of the tree, so to speak, that there was always the episodes to frame every side story. The side stories only mattered because we knew that in some way they flowed into the larger narrative that was being told. And right now it doesn't feel like there's a larger narrative.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I completely agree with that. I just, you know, to have all these disparate stories like hanging out there, you know, part of the allure of Star Wars was always, you know, when we just had the 6 movies, it was this one story. Where are we going? There wasn't any screwing around. It was, okay, there's going to be an end point. You know, it's not, you know, it was very focused. And now I think with all these things, like you got Andor and Skeleton Crew and Acolyte, okay, well, these are all very different things at different time periods and telling different stories. And I think it makes it a little more difficult to care about. You know, I mean, right now, I mean, and a perfect way to, you know, I love that you brought up the Avengers style thing, because I think that's a great way to look at it. Because, you know, when they first started putting those movies out, and I would go with Steph, my wife, you know, she thought that they were cool movies and whatnot, but as she realized that it's this bigger thing that's going on, she really got into it. Because then you're watching the next one to say, okay, well, how is this going to tie in? What's the post-credits scene like? And I think a lot of people got that way. If you notice, like, the success of the films grew and grew and grew as time went on, and some were bigger than others, but you kind of had that floor of, like, you knew they were going to make a shitload of money because people wanted to see that particular chapter. And, you know, people have been talking about the whole chapter thing, you know, with in the chat with Star Wars doing the episodes, you know, 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if you reintroduce that, you don't have to do it just in you know, a cinematic form. You can have shows do that as well. And I think that would be a really smart thing for them to do. Because I don't know about you. If you were to tell me, hey, if they would just come out and make a blanket announcement, the next wave of stuff is the start to this huge overarching story of this monstrous galactic battle that's between universes. It's like, okay. It would get me a little more interested in Ahsoka. I'm like, okay, well, this matters now. I need to know this. I want to see what this is turning into, instead of, it's, live action Rebels, which I'm not really a fan of, and those stupid goddamn space whales. So,
yeah, I mean, they've already got a blueprint in the modern era. If they look over at the High Republic, up until the Acolyte, like everything in the High Republic was planned out, and they said it's going to be 3 phases, and we're going to have all these books, and like these are the ones that are basically like the episodes, the big movies, and then we're going to have all these supporting books and novels in different formats and comics and whatnot that are all going to flesh out the characters in the world of the High Republic. So when you read these books, there's more context, but you can just totally stick with just this book, and so on, and you'll get the big story. Same way you can watch the Avengers and just only the Avengers, and you get the broadest beats possible. But then there's also, of course, the Captain America movies, the Iron Man movies, and the Thor movies, and yada, yada, yada. Like, Star Wars has done it with the publishing side. I would love to see that come in on the movie side.
Yeah. Well, but the whole across the whole thing, because say what you want about whether or not you like the Disney Plus shows, whichever ones they are. You and I like some, we like some a little less. The quality of the production is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're getting, production value of The Rise of Skywalker in the theater, but then you go to watch Disney Plus and you're getting South Park. I mean, so I mean, I think
now I want that.
Right? Porkins would be Cartman. Nah, I can hold it. I can hold it. But yeah, I think you could tell some awesome stories and kind of flesh things out there. And honestly, I think that would actually be kind of cooler. It would be kind of sweet to have like, oh, I got a movie, but now I got a show, like, and kind of go in and out of the different modes of presentation. I know that's not the right methods of whatever you know what I'm trying to say, but like going from TV to movie to movie to TV, like kind of I think that would be really, really cool. And it also builds that anticipation for a film. Like I said, at the beginning of the show, you could have the shows kind of like ramp up, and then oh, there's this movie coming. Like now it kind of makes the film feel important and epic. It's like,
yeah, even if it's like subtle connective tissue, like something like when Star Wars was really humming, I remember that the final episode, I think the season finale of season 1 of the Mandalorian, whatever, Mandalorian, whatever the hell we're calling it, that Din Djarin show. The season finale of season 1, I think, was when Grogu did the Force healing, right?
I think so. Grogu.
And then
God, we are dumb.
I think that was the same week that Rise of Skywalker premiered. And then here's Rey doing Force healing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was not a story beat at all that needed to connect, but it did. And it's like when Marvel was peak, you had Thor: The Dark World came out, and the end battle happens, and then the next week on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they're cleaning up the mess from the battle that the end of the Dark World had. Like that perfect, I hate to say it, but synergy between the platforms. It was cool. Like if you didn't see everything, it still made sense. But if you did, it was that much cooler. And I would love to see that kind of handoff again. The only good thing I could say about Star Wars Resistance was they did an episode. They were airing like between episode 7 and 8. And they actually had an episode where they tried to go to, is it Dakar? Was that the planet that the Resistance base was on?
Yeah.
And they just missed them because basically they showed up right after The Last Jedi. So they found like the wreckage instead of the base. And I was like, that's
kind of
cool. That
cool.
part was cool. It was the one time that show actually mattered to the sequel trilogy, or at least the sequel trilogy mattered to it. And I was like, see, more of that, please. Then I'll watch everything because I know that there's like a payoff for being that much of a super fan, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree, man. That is kind of cool. I only got a couple episodes into that show, so it just didn't grab me.
I really wanted to like it. You know, I'll give stuff a much longer leash than you will. And I wasted my time. I hope kids liked it, but I don't hear anyone talking about it. You don't see any mentions of the characters or, you know, figures on toy shelves or anything. So
yeah,
I think that was just a swing and a miss.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they haven't gone back to it at all. And like you said, it barely gets mentioned.
Yeah. The only tie-in that I know of is the asshole senator in Ahsoka that was just talking down the possibility of Thrawn ever returning and all that sort of stuff in that little courtroom scene was the father of the main character from Resistance.
Oh, okay.
Ziono. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I was not familiar with that.
And he was a shit heel in the show too. And so, you know, he popped in a couple times in Resistance and he was a piece of crap, and hey, he's a piece of crap in Ahsoka too. So good on continuity there, story group.
Right. At least I got that right. Right.
Yeah. So congratulations. You can write unlikable characters in multiple series. Good job.
Way to go. Way to go. Awesome. All right, man. Well, on that note, why don't we close up shop for the night? We can talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing our next episode on. I'm very excited for this. This is kind of like a wheelhouse episode for me. We are going to be discussing The Long Walk. It is a Stephen King book. It actually was, yeah. Now you'll find out tomorrow. So The Long Walk, for those of you who are not familiar, it's coming out in theaters tomorrow night. It is a Stephen King adaptation, and it's one of his. I'm trying to think when they came out, like late 70s, early 80s. It was written under the pen name Richard Bachman. He had like 4 or 5 of those, and he wrote under that pseudonym because he felt that the stuff he was writing was too dark to put under Stephen King, which is pretty crazy considering some of the dark stuff he's actually written. Yeah. So this is one of the Bachman books. It also has the distinction, if I've read everything I've read correctly, this is actually the first full-length novel he ever wrote. He wrote it before Carrie, but he didn't actually publish it until years after he had become successful. Well, anyway, the movie's coming out. The reviews have actually been excellent, which I'm very excited about. People are saying it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations there is. And I love the plot. It's very psychological. The plot is 100. It's like in this, futuristic dystopian society. Go figure. That's what King likes to write about a lot of times. And basically, you got 100 kids that sign up for this thing called the Long Walk every year, and they all walk. And it's just, they start at the same place, and they have to maintain a pace. It's monitored by the military, and they have to maintain a pace. In the novel, it's 4 miles an hour. In the movie, it's 3. I don't know why they changed that, but in any case, in the movie, they have to maintain a pace of 3 miles per hour. If they fall below it, they get a warning. If they fall below a second time, they get a second warning. If they fall behind a third time, they get a third warning, which is their final warning. And the fourth time they fall behind, they get their heads blown off.
Just like high school.
So yeah, exactly. They can, I think it's if they walk for an hour, they eliminate a warning. So it's not like, you're just constantly saddled with these warnings. So you can walk them off. So the walk goes longer. But basically, it's kind of like it's very psychological. It's like, people forming bonds and coming to grips with mortality at an early age and things like that. And it's just a fascinating concept. Liberty Timmons, she says, can't wait for The Long Walk. Just read the book. Yeah, I've read it multiple times, and I actually just finished the audiobook yesterday. She says, very Hunger Games. I will correct you there. Hunger Games is very Long Walk-ish. Long Walk was definitely before. So, but in any case, we're going to be talking about The Long Walk, since I'm very familiar with the novel, and we will have both seen the movie Friday night this week. and I'm excited. I don't know. I don't think we've done a Stephen King episode on the show in the almost 10 years we've been doing it.
No, I don't think we have.
So I know I know you don't read nearly as much as I do, but hopefully you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm curious because Stephen King properties in general, like his writing is one of those things where it works a lot better on the page than it does on the screen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we both love the Dark Tower series, and boy, they've never been able to get that right.
Yeah, that movie was not good. Not at all. I mean, it's pretty much hit or miss. They're either, there's a few that are excellent. Obviously, Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile, Dolores Claiborne. But there's a few real giant turds. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. The Shining, I won't watch because everyone's told me it's very different from the book, and Stephen King himself said he hates it. And I know the ending is not what happens in the book at all, so I'm like, I'm not watching that trash. They haven't been able to nail Salem's Lot. I know those are pretty putrid. Hell, even It, those two new It movies are awesome. I love them. But the ending, that's a whole other episode there, because you can say which ending you like. But in any case,
spoiler, I saw It chapters 1 and 2, and I don't get why that was such a cultural touchstone. Like, oh my God, it's so amazing.
Oh, first of all, because it was a damn good adaptation of what I think is his best book. People think The Stand or It, that's generally like where they go to when they talk about his best, and it was actually a really, really good way to do it. But in any case, so we're going to be talking about The Long Walk. We will be right here in 2 weeks. It will be Wednesday, September 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you are into Stephen King, that is definitely the episode for you. So I'm looking, what is the phrasing on that? But I'm looking very much forward to that, or I'm very much like, I never know what to, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. So
there you go.
There we go. We'll just leave it at that. Well, thanks to everybody in the chat tonight. It's great to see everyone. Obviously, Chastity and Nick Hall and Kale McLeish, all you guys. Liberty Timmons, thanks for tuning in. Travis, great to see you. We had our cousin Chris tuning in. Haven't seen him in a while. Mark Thrasher, screw the Baltimore Ravens. All you guys, much appreciated. It's always great to have you guys help direct the conversation. Again, if you are watching on either YouTube channel, do not forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. As always, guys, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download, which you can use to get The Long Walk so that you can listen to the book and then go see the movie in the theater and be a huge participant in our next episode on September 24th. So, guys, as always, don't forget, if you would like to get some awesome Virtual Cantina Network swag, go to tpublic.com/user/virtual-cantina. And for some kick-ass customizable Nerf Herder Council swag, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. And before we go, guys, I'm going to end where I started. Tomorrow's a somber day in our history, but it's a beautiful reminder that we are all the fucking same. So, man, I'm about to get teary-eyed, so I'm jumping out of here. He is AJ, I am JT. And, guys, whatever you do, especially tomorrow, like Bill and Ted phrased so eloquently, be excellent to each other. Catch you next time.
Bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my Nerf herder.
You my Nerf herder.